If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Talk.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, what a terrific Tuesday. And if you want a chance to celebrate and show how you can highlight, respect, and recognize the wonderful people in our society, well, the National Hero Celebrations is just around the corner. Nominations are almost there, so we're going to tell you about it. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. And before we start, I want to say a special thanks to our colleague, Mr. Raymond Singh. I had a chance to take the day, spend it with my son. What a wonderful way. Well, thanks to the wonderful team within the civil services, and especially here at Radio Cayman, and as we invite you to talk about National Heroes Day of the Chief Officer in the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Ms. Teresa Chinike. Thank you for coming along and for bringing your Deputy Chief Officer, Ms. Alana Linwood Moore, and of course, we get to speak to Ms. Alana Warwick Smith. But Chief Officer, our country, to us, is not just small, it is significant. The population is one that has seen so much wonderful things in history as we celebrate. How to formally be able to do that on a public scale, to walk through the center of town, but also to go out into our districts and to see the stalwarts, to hear the stories, and hopefully at one point, not just to record and recall them, but to have them resonate within our homes so often and so evident that it's almost as if, we are in some big country with their biggest of libraries and their things celebrating their own, that we have it here as well. Very deserving. So looking forward to the discussion, Mom, as you tell us about it. So good afternoon to you again.
Good afternoon, and as always, it is my absolute pleasure to be here and to be able to share some important information with the listening audience. It's that time of year again. It just seems like it goes by so fast, but we're here today to talk about Heroes Day, and we have been extremely fortunate over the years to indeed recognize those persons in our community that have done some exceptional work and have truly built the foundation for the country that we're staying in and enjoying the benefits of all of this. And through legislation which was passed in 1993, we were able to, in law, acknowledge who our national heroes are. And then, of course, later on in 2003, we were officially appointed a public holiday for this specific occasion. And so each year there's a different focus, and we have gone through some absolutely amazing focus areas and been able to recognize those key and critical people in our community that is so very deserving. This year I am pleased to share that the 2023 theme is volunteerism and charitable services, and that was announced in January of this year by the Premier at the Heroes Day celebration. So with that in mind, we want to take the opportunity today to share with the listening audience a bit about the subject area or the theme for this year, and definitely encourage them to please send in your nominations. So we will be giving information as it relates to the nomination process, when the nomination process will be open and for what duration of time, and encouraging people to make the submission, because it is the public that we will be relying on for these nominations to come in. Who better to know than the people in our community who it is out there, whether it's an individual or whether it's one of our charitable services organizations. The people of the Cayman Islands know who is best deserving. And so we as a ministry, we as the committee for this National Heroes Day, will be looking forward to the nominations coming from the general public.
Ms. Alanis, as I look to you and speak, the idea that we are able to not only include the public as Chief Officer shared, but they're the best ones to know and to come forward. So thank you and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us here. So just to speak more in detail about the theme, as Chief Officer Echenike mentioned, volunteerism, charitable services, the definition means a person or not-for-profit organization who, without compensation, has made an exceptional contribution to and in the Cayman Islands. And that's what that means, is that we're going to be acknowledging the individuals and the charitable services. And there's obviously some criteria involved, but what we are hoping is that through these radio interviews, we can share to the public how they can apply and give them more guidance. And yeah, we're actually very excited to be here.
And that's the thing, there's a lot of charitable endeavors in our country. There are a lot of people who are involved every day almost in some level of charity. I'm wondering, as we get into discussion, is it that the person that is so charitable, so philanthropic, that a person have to be attached to something, or this could be someone that we know, Miss Sue, she is always, and this is what she's done. Could that person be recognized?
So how we're doing it this year, as previous years, there'll be categories where individuals can apply under. So there's 4 categories in total. The first 3 focuses on the individual. So the first category is on early pioneers. Basically, that means an individual, alive or deceased, who have been the founder or who have contributed to the development of the voluntary services. I believe, the audience can think of a few names as we speak. And these are people that have contributed prior to 1980. Then the second category speaks on the pioneers, which means an individual who has made an exceptional contribution for 20 plus years to voluntary services in their role, impact, reach, engagement, and inspiration. So these are subcategories. So when we do ask the public, when they nominate, to think, how did the individual made such an impact in terms of their role, like in terms of their reach? Did they reach to older persons? Do they reach to, younger people? Just to have that in mind. And then the third category is philanthropists. So this focuses on an individual who has made monetary donations to a charitable services in the Cayman Islands exceeding a certain amount. Then lastly, the charitable services category focuses on the actual the charity. So the not-for-profit organization, and they would have to have made an exceptional contribution in the development, enhancement, safety, and well-being of the community in the Cayman Islands for 20 plus years. So that 20 plus years is quite consistent throughout. But yeah, it does sound like a mouthful, but I feel like everyone should be reassured. We're going to explain thoroughly the categories, so there shouldn't be any.
Right. And this is for all of the volunteering, the charitable endeavors have to have occurred within the Cayman Islands.
Yes.
It definitely has to be within the Cayman Islands, Dwayne. And I think that one of the key pieces, as Alanis went through the various categories and as people go on to the nomination form and start to read through the details, you would understand and appreciate that there are specific criteria and guidelines. And the reason for that is that we understand and we appreciate that we are a very loving and giving country, and so it's just about everyone that you talk to, they would have done some type of voluntary services or helped in some way to improve our beautiful Cayman Islands. However, we just are not in a position to acknowledge everybody in the Cayman Islands. So there are specific categories and there are specific guidelines. And what we want to do is to truly be able to highlight those persons that we perceive has gone over and beyond to benefit the people and the island on a whole. And again, as Alanis indicated when she spoke, there are two different groupings that we are looking at this year. So you can be acknowledged as an individual, or you can be acknowledged as an organization, which is collective of multiple individuals. And I think that all by itself speaks to the concept of what charity is all about and the togetherness of this theme that we're acknowledging this year. So as people review the information that I'll invite Alanis to share where the details of that is as we go along in our discussion. But we definitely want to be able to highlight when we're looking at an individual, what does that mean versus when we're looking at the association itself.
Okay. So after the break then, Ms. Alanis, perhaps you come in, and of course, Ms. Alana, we can invite you as you wish to share. They'll be with us until 1 p.m. and right after the headline news, Mr. Loxton Banks will come in and share with us. Got a special for you on a Thursday and then at 1:30. In our continuing partnership on Tuesdays with the HSA, going to highlight two of our Caymanian doctors. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Breitling watches are defined by quality, innovation, and style. And you have the chance to win one in August during Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary sweepstakes. Each month, lucky shoppers have the chance to win a piece of jewelry or a watch from luxury brands. Every purchase of $100 at any Kirk Freeport store gains you entry into the monthly drawing. So stop in today. Next up, September's prize is the Chopard Happy Dreams bracelet. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Flex is what's next. Flex is a line of 24-volt cordless power tools for professional craftsmen. Now through October 1st, you will receive a free 5-amp-hour battery with the purchase of a Flex bare tool and charger, as well as instant savings of up to $150 on a $500 purchase. All Flex tools that you buy this year will be covered under the Flex Founders Lifetime Warranty. Get what's next at A.L. Thompson's now through October 1st.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thank you so much for joining us. So really really privileged to be in the studio to celebrate, talk, and invite you to be a part of the nomination process for our National Heroes Day. Our Chief Officer in the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Ms. Teresa Chineke, the Acting Deputy Chief Officer, Ms. Alanis Linwood Amore, and then, of course, Ms. Alana Warwick-Smith joins us. And we're going to hear from her in a bit. But, Chief Officer, it is, for me, important for any country to be able to highlight and recognize its people and to have a way to showcase. And then, not just for posterity, but for now as a public to be able to go. We have, our Heroes Square, Centennial Park. We have that opportunity as we go through 100 years from now, perhaps. We'll still be able to celebrate and see that the 500 plus years. More just,
Yeah, our people will definitely go down in history, and we're most grateful for the leaders of this country to recognize the importance of this, and not only recognize people, but see this as important enough to put this into legislation, to have a public holiday where we're truly recognizing the contribution that the people of our country make. And it is all for the improvement, the enhancement, the betterment of our country and our people. And again, the theme this year is equally as important as any other year. Volunteerism and charitable services is definitely something that warrants recognition. It is an important aspect of our beautiful Cayman Islands because we know we have so many people out there that is willingly giving of their time, of their funds, and they're expecting nothing in return. So all they're doing is from the goodness of their hearts. And again, that's why we feel it's important that when we look at who receives the recognition, it's not only the individuals, but we're looking at these clubs in totality. And so when we think about the individuals themselves, it has to be an individual who has made exceptional contribution to volunteer services in their role, impact, reach, engagement, and inspiration. And the volunteer services definitely have to be in the Cayman Islands. And then, of course, we spoke earlier about how can an entire organization be highlighted and recognized as well. And again, it is any organization, any charitable service that have made exceptional contribution to the development, enhancement, safety, and well-being of the country. And it's important that they have been established and in operation for 20 plus years, that they're a registered organization in good standing, that the services being provided is definitely in the Cayman Islands. And we also have as a criteria that they're internationally recognized. And again, understanding and appreciating that the recognition that we give will be something that will be going down in history. And these are things that our children and our children will be able to reflect on in years to come. But I would invite Alanis at this point to share a little bit, if she could, about the nomination process, because that's the core reason that we're actually here today, and the public would definitely need to know where they can go to get the nomination forms.
Before you do, Ms. Lance, can I just invite our caller to join us as we speak to the honorable ladies? We have the Chief Officer, Deputy Chief Officer, and let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne. I have a question for the panel
of course.
To Heroes Day.
Yes, sir.
I think it was 2 Heroes Day, 2 years ago. The theme was seamen. The members of this country who founded and got us to where we are today. Our maritime heritage has brought us through to where we are today. Yet those very important men, most were not properly honored. The function they had in town was limited capacity because of COVID, which everyone can understand. but we were all told that our family members would be properly honored in the district days. And on several occasions, I have questioned that. I have written emails asking, please, if they're not going to be properly honored, then can I please have the stuff from my dear father so he can look at and hold before he leaves us. And I am not the only one in this situation. I have written to so many government officials asking if they're not going to continue and follow through with the original promises and plans to honor seamen in the various districts, then please let us come and collect their ensigns and their plaques so we can give them to them while they're with us. And no response.
Caller, I appreciate your call. I thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. The Ministry for Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage has actually only been involved with the Heroes Day process for since last year. Actually, a former ministry was responsible. However, I would invite the caller to please give me a call and I will follow up with this on his behalf. The number that you can call is 244-2426, and we would be happy to follow up with this. I think that there would need to be some discussions with the protocol office, who works very closely and with this process and has responsibility for the event itself. And so with them having a long history with this, they would be able to share and guide me accordingly. And then I would be able to definitely direct the caller as necessary. Caller, whether it is yourself or anybody else that's listening that have specific questions about the Seafarers event or the year that acknowledged seafarers, although I do not have the details because I would not have been involved at that point, I am more than happy to try to get the information and to assist wherever I can. So please do not hesitate. Reach out to me. Our number is 244-2426, or you can also contact us at 244-2424, and we would be more than happy to try to work with the previous ministry as well as the protocol office to rectify this situation, because I completely understand and appreciate the concern that you're sharing.
All right.
There's elderly widows who their husbands were to be recognized and were listed on the program, but were not given because of the restriction in persons who could attend, and there was over 500 recipients, which is understandable. But those family members, we were all promised that, don't worry, your family will be recognized in the district days.
Okay.
And we have heard nothing about it.
Okay.
So, completely understanding, and I'm glad that you also take into consideration the restrictions that came about as a result of COVID. But as I indicated, I'm more than happy to try to support and assist this process in any way that I can. And if you call either one of the numbers that I provided, 244-2426 or 244-2424, we will do the best that we can to try to rectify this situation. I'm most grateful for your call.
Right. And thanks very much for that, sir. And perhaps, as you said, Chief Officer, anybody else in the same thing, so we can give them the respect that they deserve. Mr. Lannis, if we're going to nominate, we need to know how to do it, right? And as the Chief Officer was directing.
So in terms of the nomination process, we are encouraging the public to do it online. So the forms are to be completed electronically. The forms can be accessed on our website, which is www.gov.ky/YSCH. That stands for Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. And then they will see a button, a blue button that says nominate for NHD. And from there, it's just a matter of clicking the button and then accessing the form. Right. So we are trying to make it very easy for persons, and we will be providing a how to apply video just to show persons the direction on what to do.
Okay. So all and only through electronically can be nominated?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Dwayne, again, for understanding and appreciating. We do not want anybody's form to get lost along the way, and it's so easy sometimes for papers to, be misplaced. But we also have sometimes challenges with the writing when people submit by paper.
I did it one time, please.
Yes, I'm sorry, Dwayne. Your writing was not good enough for us to read.
I keep hearing that. That's good.
So as much as possible, from an organizational perspective, and to ensure that we are tracking the forms that come in, it's the preference to have it submitted electronically. Although we are mindful that not everybody might have a computer in their house, we have partnered with our public libraries, and persons can go there and utilize the computers at the public libraries and get some assistance completing it right there and then. Also, any of us that have any family members, any friends, any grandchildren, anyone that's around us with mobile devices, it's readily available. The form and the access is so simple, you can do it right on your cell phone. So it is, although we're asking for it to be done electronically, we've done the best that we can to make the form very, very user-friendly and very, very simple to access and handle. And so we're encouraging people to take that approach and complete the forms electronically. Worst scenario, if there is those outside of the box circumstances, again, please do not hesitate. Reach out to us. You can email us at nhd@gov.ky, or you can give us a call at 244-2424, and we're more than happy to try to assist and accommodate you. But I'm encouraging the public, the time frame might seem long. The nomination process opens on the 5th of September and runs until the 16th of October. In people's mind, that might seem like a long time. It really is not. Time has gone by so fast, and I can't believe that I'm here again talking about Heroes Day. It seemed like it was just yesterday that I was talking about. Yeah. So, time waits on no man. I'm encouraging the public, please get the nomination forms completed as quickly as possible. Submit for those persons or those associations that is definitely deserve recognition. And again, look out for it. It will be readily available as of Monday, the 5th of September. We can't encourage the public enough. I don't want people to assume that somebody else is going to nominate. So, I won't do it because I know my sister is going to do it, or I know my friend is going to do it. We can't be under that assumption. And it's also very much okay if more than one person submits a nomination. So that all by itself just shows that, people in the community recognize a particular individual or an association for what they've contributed.
All right, let's quickly pause and take this final break of our segment, and then we come back. We'll continue our discussion until 1. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Cistern water designated for the purposes of drinking, cooking, and bathing must be disinfected before use after a hurricane. Simply leave the water for 1 minute after it begins to boil, or to disinfect with bleach, add 3 ounces of chlorine bleach to every 1,000 gallons of water. A residual bleach smell is an indicator that the water has been properly disinfected. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Thanks too for the opportunity to showcase our National Heroes Day and remind us of the nomination as our chief officer. It opens on the 5th of September, so if I'm correct and Susan gave me the calendar, that means Monday.
That is correct.
But it won't last until on the 16th of October, so we'll go fast. Chief Officer Teresa Chanika, together with the acting Deputy Chief Officer, Mr. Alanis Linwood Amore from the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, and of course Miss Alana Warwick-Smith. Chief Officer, though, we have Miss Alana here, and she brought intellect, insight, and much interest, but maybe we should invite her to share.
Definitely, and she's here for a purpose, not just because she's a beautiful woman and we needed some additional company. Alana is a part of the Heroes Day Committee, and we wanted to invite her to be a part of this, although very new as a committee member. We wanted her to be a part of this discussion because we want people to also hear from a committee member the importance of why nominations should take place and how she feels about being asked to be a part of this absolutely amazing and important committee overall. Before I invite Alana to speak, what I will share with the public is that each year the committee members change, and so the committee members are appointed by cabinet, and it is usually a makeup of representatives from the different districts or that have specialties within the subject area or the theme at hand. So Alana is only one of the committee members that was able to join us, and as we go through our media coverage, you will hear about other members, and you will also have them possibly on the show to talk to you. But I do want to take this opportunity, Dwayne, to thank Alana for agreeing to take time out of her very busy schedule to be a part of this very important committee. And I invite her to share how it is, in regards to her feelings. How does she feel about being a part of this committee, and her views on the importance of people nominating for this theme this year.
Mr. Lana, good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, and thanks for sharing with us. And as the Chief Officer has invited How do you feel about being in the committee? I mean, and how do you see it? Share with us as you wish.
Well, this was my first kind of introduction to a government-related committee. So when I got the call, I was very surprised and deeply honored. And it's really nice to think about it where it's very similar to what we're doing here, where it's to get that recognition from cabinet level to say I was recognized by my representatives that they thought I would be a great fit for this was deeply honoring. It's very exciting and it's very humbling, and I'm hoping I put my best foot forward for the opportunity.
Well, we're confident that you will, and as you shared it, this is where the community's participation gets involved. All across the districts, also all across the islands, we come on board, we recognize the people, we help not just to vet, but we also help to, stimulate, educate, and inspire people to not take for granted the actions of so many. As I said at the outset, we all know someone who's always done that. Miss Sue, but stop and recognize her. Give her the praise, not just that she's deserving, but to inspire others so that your actions don't go, unrewarded. It isn't about the money. It's about the recognition and inspiration.
Definitely. And being a part of the opportunity to recognize people in our community and the people who are the pillars of our community, those building blocks and those foundations. And I think National Heroes Day and the committees before have done such an excellent job at recognizing different foundations and the healthcare heroes and the athletes and the culture heroes and all of these parts that make Cayman this beautiful melded mix, and to actually recognize the people who are putting all of their time and efforts towards volunteerism, where if you think about it, some of our national festivals, Bada Banu was a Rotary Club project. A lot of people don't know that. Things like Bonaventure Boys Home, like a lot of these things in Cayman come from our service clubs. So to be able to say that our government is recognizing not only the individuals but the clubs, I think is so excellent. The Lion's Eye Clinic, I could go on and on.
Yeah, and this is where I think the individual comes as part of a collective entity, making a concerted effort, but a very profound impact on our community. And then some of those individuals, separate and apart from their membership in that organization, are doing things on their own. So, Chief Officer, it is that community, as Mr. Lana referenced, that builds, the country, and what the cathedral builders Mr. Biller talks about. We have many, we just need to recognize them.
And I completely understand, I completely appreciate the efforts that's been made by numerous people, numerous associations, and the fact that persons are just not sitting back waiting for government to do everything. We have to work together. And if it was that government had to do everything, many people would be lacking. Alana spoke about the Lion's Eye Clinic as an example. That's an amazing initiative that so many people in our community, old and young, have benefited from. And it's we're thankful that we have a group of persons that feel it necessary to make that level of contribution to our Cayman Islands without sitting back and saying, oh, that's not our responsibility. The government of the day will handle that. And, that's only one example. There are numerous examples that we could give to you today. And again, that's why it's important that the nominations are submitted, that we see and we hear about as a committee what these various persons and organizations are doing, and give them the recognition that they so deserve.
When you think back to the GCs of the 70s, and we have a public beach because of those efforts. Now they're no longer functioning here, but much of the work, the Leos have taken up the maintenance of the cabanas and the like. If I may ask though, is it like any other nomination? You want to nominate someone for a position, do you need to seek that person's consent to nominate? And then secondly, if you do or do not, do you need a seconder for the nomination? So nice?
Not exactly, but we would encourage that the public, whoever you're nominating, do have that conversation, because it's always good to have that pre-consent, consent, but it wouldn't be necessary. We do ask for references, and the information from whoever is nominating the individual. So if we do need to go back and find more information or just to confirm, we would be able to contact them.
Yeah, 'cause there's some people who they've always done, but I don't need to be recognized. But if you go talk to them and you remind them, hey, listen, we're not just doing this because we value you, but because of you, others have benefited and some may be encouraged, right, Miss Alana?
Sorry, definitely. And I can lean on an example where I was recently a Proud of Them recipient, and one of my fellow honorees, Lucas McField, he did not know that he was nominated, and he was telling me the story about how that feeling was so special to him, to know that someone had taken inspiration from him and his efforts, and gone forward and put him forward, but also had said that it was the trickle down from his efforts in the community and his career that had inspired them to do better and be better. I know that's probably not a great example for asking for consent, but, I wanted to share the story.
Yeah, and the reality is that we have numerous nominations that the person just don't have a clue who nominated them or that they were even being nominated. And sometimes it is that pleasant surprise and feeling honored and privileged that somebody took the time to acknowledge you, took the time to recognize you, and had the ability and the opportunity to put your name forward to be recognized. So I think that although some people will have the discussion, depending on relationships, depending on circumstances, there are those nominations that come forward and the individual just don't know. But if it is that they're deserving, and if you have the information to complete the nomination and support the nomination, then we encourage you, submit.
Indeed.
And don't be afraid to put yourself forward if you also have it.
See, well, that was my next question, because there's some of us who, we won't because we think that is, but you know what? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, and if you get one from 100 other people who do the same thing, well.
It's supporting.
There you go. All right.
As long as the categories are completed, we will take it into consideration.
All right. So, Ms. Alanis, you give us the website. We can go online, fill out the nominations, save a tree, and
so yes, let's save the trees. The website is gov.ky/YSCH. There'll be a blue button that says nominate for NHD, and persons can access the form there. And should there be any questions, we do ask the public to reach out via nhd@gov.ky. That is our email, or call us at 244-2424.
All right. Chief Officer, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Any closing thoughts, Mom, you may want to leave with us today?
The only thing that I wish to leave is to once again encourage people, please don't wait until the last minute. Don't assume that somebody else is going to make a nomination. If there are persons, associations that you feel deserve recognition, go online, make the nomination so that the committee can consider. Again, the nominations will be available as of Monday, the 5th of September, and will run through until the 16th of October. So we look forward to receiving those completed nominations and considering persons that are so deserving of this recognition.
Well, thank you all, honorable ladies, and looking forward to not only having other discussions with you or members of the team, but the public accepting the invitation to not just carefully consider, but encourage others to do the same as we nominate them. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and may the week be productive, filled with the best tasting chocolate that is dark and decadent and delicious. Flavor with a little sea salt. Hey, it could be good. All right, let's pause and take that break and invite Mr. Loxlow Banks to join us after. And then 1:30, two of our physicians from the HSA will be our guests for another segment. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Bracken, Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable J. E. Banks, expresses his commitment to exploring cooperation with the Government of Colombia on matters of trade to strengthen the island's food and nutrition security. The minister exchanged ideas on the matter during a courtesy call and hybrid meeting held Friday at the Government Administration Building. In international headlines, Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Twitter lobby more accusations at each other today in the latest round of legal filings over Musk's efforts to rescind his offer to buy the social media platform. Musk filed more paperwork in his bid to terminate the deal, this time based on information in a whistleblower complaint filed by Twitter's former head of security. Twitter fired back by saying Musk's attempt to back out is invalid and wrongful. Twitter has sued Musk, asking the Delaware Chancery Court to force him to go through with the $44 billion deal. A high-stakes trial is set to start October 17th. The number of open jobs in the U.S. rose in July after 3 months of decline, a sign that employers are still urgently seeking workers despite a weakening economy and high inflation. The increase reported today is disappointing for Federal Reserve officials who are seeking to cool hiring and the economy by raising short-term interest rates to try to slow borrowing and spending, which tend to fuel inflation. Fed officials are hoping their policies will serve primarily to reduce job openings and spare workers the pain of widespread layoffs and higher unemployment. There were 11.2 million open jobs available in the U.S. on the last day of July. That's nearly 2 jobs on average for every unemployed person, up from 11 million in June. June's figure was also revised sharply higher. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. Following a 30-year career with National Bulk Carriers, he was one of few Brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. Following a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing, which he owned for 16 years. Prior to relocating to Grand Cayman, he was a volunteer during hurricane emergencies, assisting with the safety of the elderly in his district. Mr. Connolly was one of the original band members of the famous Brac Beach Boys, a member of the Sister Islands Veterans and Seamen's Society, and also a member of the Seafarers Association on Grand Cayman. In 2003, he was one of 500 Seamen Medal honorees for their contribution to the Southwell years.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Attention employers, would you like an opportunity to enhance the future labor force by providing the nation's youth with vital work experience? If so, the Cayman Islands Further Education Center, CIFEC, invites you to participate in its internship program for the 2022 to 2023 academic year. To register or to learn more about the CIFEC internship program, email us at careers@cifec.edu.ky no later than Friday, 2nd September.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks too for the opportunity to sit here and facilitate. And as we welcome, I would almost want to preface the intro saying the Right Honourable Mr. Loxley Banks. But good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome. Thanks for coming on board.
Well, good afternoon.
You look at the clock sometimes. I see the 1 or the 13. I get thrown off sometimes. What is 1 p.m.?
Yeah, 6 minutes after.
If that's right. I mean, did you have it calibrated? Make sure. It could be a bit off. But it's a good day. It's a good day to give thanks. It's a good day to be reminded that we are where we are because of the sacrifice and services of so many. And I think too many times we are apt to take things for granted without realizing that we have.
Yeah, I think in that aspect, there's lots that's been taken for granted over the years, and I think there has to be more effort to educate the general CI community on,
I like what you say, CI sensitive,
Yeah.
Very crucial, especially now.
Yeah, if you look at the state of the world now, boy, and the program that we're going to do on Thursday now,
Thursday it is. Thank you for making that accommodation.
Yeah, and of course we know that Friday, the 2nd of September, will be the 87th anniversary of the end of World War II. And, many Caymanians out there, a lot of them gave their lives to really preserve and move forward what we see on the ground here today, on the terrain here today. And a lot of folks in the community don't realize the sacrifice that was made to bring this thing up to where it's at today.
And to think about it, right, we're looking, as you said, 87 years, right, since sort of officially.
Well, that was the official date because that was the date that the unconditional surrender of Japan to the Allied forces were signed. Of course, they said they would. They had surrendered about 2 weeks before, but until it was down in writing, they couldn't be sure.
Right, and almost a century, but yet in that time, there are a lot of things that happen that threaten world stability, world peace, and there are a lot of other, for want of better, wars that are taking place. But even now, in the past 6 months, we're seeing a lot of things happening that could potentially not just spill into a world conflict, but impact people's lives and livelihoods.
It's impacting greatly people.
Okay.
And you mentioned century. And somewhere along in the program on Thursday, this will come up, where Churchill was speaking, and he used that word century to effect the immediate and a century to come.
And this is where I think, whether we're students of history, whether we're just careful and casual observers of what is unfolding before us, if you look at potential of what Europe could be facing come winter, people freezing to death, starving to death. But look here, on this part of the world and in this country, the impact, nice flavored euphemisms like, supply chain interruptions. What do you mean supply? There was a time when we were a little bit more specific and direct, and rationing was what came into play.
Yeah, a lot of rationing. Rationing here in Cayman, all during those years, and you look at where you mentioned where Europe may be sort of moving towards. It could be right back to where it was at 1944, 45, 46, right? Immediate post World War II, and post World War One.
Yeah. And for many people, they see that, and they don't seem to understand the correlation between, what was a century ago, if you go back to World War I, and what is today. You got people who have the wherewithal in terms of how they don their garb, their assuming they still have their space of abode, and the vehicles that they drive, but all dressed up, nowhere to go. And not for long.
Yeah, it's but in the program on Thursday, what we're going to aim to do is just give a bird's eye view of more or less from 1900 up through the late 50s, and that's when that encompassed 2 world wars and a lot of regional conflicts,
Mm-hmm.
many regional conflicts. The Spanish flu, the Great Depression,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see how history sort of repeats itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we don't seem to learn much from what history should, or I think, is trying to teach us.
Yeah. We seem to want to force certain things and insist that because we have to have a hand that we can impose through might. Someone was reminding me the other day, if you look at in Germany, for instance, the inability to move goods for the last few months. Yet, what do we expect when we do things to the coastline, when we dam rivers and the like? There's going to be a consequence. It may be that we don't appreciate the impact sufficiently down, or we calculate by, it's mitigating, so therefore the cost-benefit analysis indicates we're okay. But at time, 100 years may seem like a long time.
Well, look, if you just take a look at what's happening here locally when we try to interrupt the dynamics of nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Quite a vivid scene.
So and I'm hoping that as we get a snapshot of history on Thursday's program, I'm hoping that we as parents and adults, but hopefully our children or school teachers will be able to take that information and not be prone to repeat history, but to see through history a lesson to be able to positively impact our actions going forward.
Well, on the program on Thursday, I think we want to give the listening audience more of an opportunity to chime in on what they've heard, what they will hear during the program, and their impressions of what we're seeing today and what the description was like back in basically in the era immediately after the war, 1945, 46, 47, 48. And there'll be some political humor because, one of the big things going on now in Washington, which is a very I guess disruptive place most of the time, is the commission, the Congressional Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And right after the war, they were having plenty of Congressional Commission looking at, and one of the characters, I guess they were looking at, was Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was being accused of all kinds of stuff. And they hauled him in before a committee, and it is. I think listeners will get a little laugh listening to. They're trying to question him, and he barnstorming everything that they,
I'm glad you reference that because you look at Hughes and Musk, for instance.
Yeah, he was the equivalent of what Musk is in these days, and the Microsoft guy. He was that back in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who.
Plus, he was married to Jane Russell.
That didn't help anything.
Well, I'm sure he thought it did.
Hey, you know what? Thank you for that. I can hear some people listening going, "What are they talking about?" Well, that thing that I don't like to use, but try go online and check it out. You might just find out something there. But. You go back to that time and you go back to what perhaps the expectation was of the electorate that their politicians were supposed to do. And maybe in absence of what the media is now, the media then was perhaps more involved. And perhaps the politicians were more of a considered effort to do what is just and from the state's perspective, right?
Yeah, I think listening closely, you would extract that from some of the narrative that will be presented. I mean, because back in that era, you had such things as the Marshall Plan. I mean, you look at that whole thing, the I guess you could call it the holistic approach of that.
Almost, I know, depending on which professor, which class I was in, which context, the Marshall Plan was almost, in many ways, akin to a doctrine that could be.
Well, yes, it was worldwide. Yeah. You know, I think Churchill had a description for it. I can't bring it up to top, but he described it as, I think, one of the most perfect up until that. Up until that date, and probably, if you look back on it, probably up until now.
And they say the more we look at history, we can say what you say. So it can repeat itself. Yeah. And that to what is transpiring now, there are a lot of strong similarities between the effort to, we don't say, globalize the world, to standardize certain things. I mean, in the tax arena, talk about harmonize.
Yeah, well, at the end of World War II, one of the greatest fears, in the universal sense, was nuclear power, and how they could harness that, or harness it, or use it safely. What is the concern today?
You see,
yeah.
So is that a challenge then? That we don't want to reflect on history. I mean, what does it say? If you don't know where you come from, how do you know where you? Right. I'm told you have a clip for us as a teaser. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Well, do we need to take a commercial break?
No, we're going straight through. Miss Susan has it set up. It's all deference to you. No, between the...
All right. Well, you got to make something to pay the bills,
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, we can take the cut now. It's about, I think, 2.5-3 minutes long, so it'll give you an idea of what's coming up on Thursday.
All right. Let's hear it.
This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. 7 p.m. Eastern Wartime.
This is KROD, El Paso, Texas, 5 p.m. Mountain Wartime.
This is the Home Service, 12 o'clock midnight British Double Summer Time.
Говорит Москва.
This is Radio Cayman on September 1, 2022. Presenting now a word picture of the celebrations that took place on August the 14th, 1945, when the Japanese surrender to the Allied forces, which ended World War II, was announced. And the thoughts of politicians, of the statesmen, the prognosticators, and others of that era for the future.
It was 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, August 14th, 1945. For 2,172 days, the world had been at war. Then that hushed, synchronized silence, like that which exists in a prize fight between the count of 9 and 10. And then, in 60 different languages, it was over.
Japan has today surrendered. The last of our enemies is laid low.
Now, back to New York. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bambino, the Sultan of SWAT, Babe Ruth!
The Babe wore the Yankee uniform with his familiar number 3. The uniform hung limp on those wasted shoulders. This time there was no bat in his hands. This time there was no echo, because there was almost no voice left.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You know how bad my voice sounds. Well, it feels just as bad.
It is June of 1947. The breach between the East and the West has widened. We have a new phrase for it now, the Cold War. A state of threat and counter-threat of displaced persons, of hunger and the violation of human rights. Our friends and allies in Western Europe were near collapse. All the hopes and prayers of VJ Day were dying in the icy wastes of this Cold War. Only we in this country had power and opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of State.
The scene, Harvard University. It might have been just another commencement speech by just another general, but it was the utterance of a soldier statesman. Churchill called it the most unsordid act in history. George Catlett Marshall proposes the plan that came to bear his name.
It is logical that the United States should do whatever it is able to do to assist in the return of normal economic health in the world. Our policy is directed not against any country or doctrine, but against hunger, poverty, desperation, and chaos.
Washington, D.C. has often been called a state of mind. In its post-war state, it was a nervous mind, overworked, hypertense, reflecting in a concentrated cell the case of national jitters. Certainly there was no better symptom of this hysteria than the Congressional Investigating Committees. On the witness stand now, Howard Hughes, the Senate War Investigating Committee. The Senator, Homer Ferguson of Michigan.
Do you know where Mr. Myers is?
Myers?
Yes, John Myers.
Oh, Myers?
Yes,
No,
Myers.
I don't.
He works for you, does he not, Mr. Hughes?
He works for my company.
It may be funny to you that he isn't here.
I didn't laugh, Senator. Somebody laughed back there.
I think the listening audience will get when they hear the complete of that, you know.
And this is the thing. For those of us who were able to access those and listen to it now, it's not a skit from some sort of comedy show, as we've seen. But this is the jovial, gentle sort of approach of this. But they're very serious, and the implications are telling. So the people like the Hughes perhaps contrast in a different way, in a different era, but their impact is still the same.
Yes, and of course, the general public nowadays is a little bit more, have got a little more access to some of those things going on. Back in, I think that clip with Hughes was 46, 47. You know, I think television might have been sort of coming into being, but there was no great distribution of television throughout the world.
But radio
was there to capture it all.
Radio, and it was live, unedited. There was no delay.
Yeah, no delay.
And people were literally tuned in.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's hard when we try to interpret history and use today's lens. We can't apply the same context. So it's probably difficult for some to look at it as to what happened. I've always believed that, as great as we've celebrated Roosevelt and the like, if we look at some of the U.S. presidents, even to my mind, the great John F. Kennedy, his health in today's world would probably have seen him in a lower light than what his stature and intellect deserve, simply because of the visual sort of connotation, right? His debates were sitting down because, presumably, was reported he wasn't feeling good at this time.
No problem,
right? But it doesn't mean to take away. So I use that to say that you can. Was it Roosevelt that what's the story goes? He stands on the end of the table, he pounds his fist, and he stands up and he shows a true grit and determination. We can do this thing. Just like I can do this despite my disability. This isn't going to keep me down. We need to move forward. That is inspiring to the group assembled. We can draw strength from that.
Yeah, it's history is a great teacher, and I think the more that we can coagulate a little bit of it between our ears, I think the better off the community will be.
Well, I appreciate you taking time and going back into what you call the Wattle Vault. Did I say it right? The Wattle Vault?
The Wattle Vault.
The Wattle Vault? Not a Wattle Vault. You sure?
Not the Wattle Vault. It's the Wattle Vault.
The Wattle, okay. So, not the Wattle Vault, but I think say the Wattle Vault works. All right. No, but that is where we have such a repository of information, but not having it disseminated, not having people engage with it. And I think Thursday's CI Retro Talk Today production will give people a chance to appreciate and to look at things in today, sort of as they unfold, and understand that there are examples. History is replete with many examples that we should not ignore.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, we want to give the listening audience more of an opportunity to give some of their impressions of what they're hearing and how they view it contrasting then with what they know of the world today.
Yeah. I was wondering, and not that it would be homework, but men must spend a lot of times glued to these devices in our hands, got our eyes probably tired. I wonder if we should give them some homework to maybe, take a walk through history and ask themselves, World War II, what did that mean? What are some of the significant events that transpired? Refresh their minds, perhaps be not just reminded, but for some, actually be informed and to realize how little we understand.
Well, I think one of the significant aspects of it relative to Cayman was that, Cayman probably had the highest percentage of people. I think there might have been, the ladies were involved on the home front, but directly involved in the war effort. I mean, we had the Home Guard. There was, I think, about 200 or so people, young Caymanians in the Royal Trinidadian Navy contingent. And there were probably, and this was during World War II, there were probably another 200 or so Cayman Islands seafarers in the Pacific and the Atlantic battlegrounds. And in the military forces, the Navy, the Army, and so forth and so on, there were probably another 75, maybe to 125 Caymanians fighting their way off of Normandy Beach and going into, as one of them was a frogman, doing night dives at night, clearing pathway through the reef for the troops to get in to land. And this was in the Pacific, going up towards the track to defeat Japan. And
we have such a phenomenal history, and yet for some reason, not only are we unwilling to celebrate and recall it, but allow people, including our own, to dismiss, discredit, and downplay. And even the best fish tea, or the worst one, if we don't engage in it and sit and flavor and savor, it's going to be quickly lost, man.
Yeah, well, and the Cayman Island Veterans Association is very much involved in trying to do some education on all of this, and they will be a part of the program also on Thursday. And there's some Cayman Islands Veterans Association activities coming up here in the immediate future that we'll be talking a little bit about also.
Right. Well, I'm very grateful, sir, for your efforts and endeavors, for including me in it, and the accommodation for Thursday. We know Friday is the actual date of the anniversary, 2nd September. We'll do the event on Thursday the 1st. Thank you for that. Looking forward to you allow me to sit with you and be a part of it as I learn and as I celebrate, but also respect our history.
Yeah, well, I think the community. These are things that I think they can learn from, and the whole community can benefit from.
All right.
From learning from these things.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Mr. Loxton Banks. So the public, just a quick preview. This Thursday, as part of the CI Retro Talk Today's segment, it's going to come up on Thursday, 12:30 to 12:35. Mr. Loxley, you enjoy this afternoon. I'll see you, on the outside.
Yeah, I did go check, see if they're in the seas on the reef and go run a few seas.
There you go. See if the grapes are there too. Get some sea grapes.
There are some. You just got to know where to find them.
I'll come with you. And if you got some Nobi, save them for me. All right, we're going to pause and take a break, but when we return, in partnership with the Health Services Authority, two of our returning physicians, Dr. Poirier and Dr. Bernard, will be our guests. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway is giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
How confident are you that your golden years will be, well, golden? Introducing the RF Pension Plan, offering innovative solutions to help you retire your way. Formerly the Fidelity Pension Plan, the RF Pension Plan now delivers strong investment returns, superior management, and additional products designed to help you meet and exceed your financial goals. Contact RF today to find out how you can unlock a 25% discount. Make your golden years golden with the RF Pension Plan. Learn more at rfgroup.com.
It always seems impossible until it's done, said Nelson Mandela. Join me, Rashana Hides, your reigning Miss World Cayman, as I pass on my crown to the new queen who will represent Cayman at the next Miss World pageant. Join us on Saturday, the 17th of September for a night of celebration and competition at the Hartwell Theatre for the annual Miss World Cayman pageant. Cocktails at 6 p.m. with a 7 p.m. start. Tickets are available on ticketsplus.ky. Join us as we crown our new Miss World Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. I think after having that discussion with Mr. Loxley, this is a fitting time to continue showcasing and celebrating our people. It's a beautiful country. I'm honored always to be a part of the discussion. So as we welcome to the studio, two of our returning physicians, one of our dentists over at the dental clinic, Dr. Tom Farber, together with the, I'll make sure I say right, emergency medical consultant physician over there in the ER, Dr. Bernard, Dr. Brandon Bernard. I was just thinking, coming to the dental clinic or we come into ER and we see familiar faces, we hear voices that resonate with us. It makes the country feel like it's advancing. It's good. So thank you both for having the diligence, the aptitude, and the patience to stick out in the course of study. Sometimes it's not easy, right, Dr. Bernard?
Yeah, it was a long time, but I'm home.
You're home?
Yeah.
That's a good place to be. Dr. Farber, to you, welcome.
Thank you.
As you wish, and I'm hoping that in today's discussion we'll do a number of things. We'll encourage the wider populace, but our parents in particular, to say to our children, we're going to be there. We got your back, we're going to support you, we're going to encourage you, and you got this. But to understand that, it's a long road, irrespective of what it is, from 0 to 50, not just miles per hour, but age. Yeah. You won't get there tomorrow. What is that time looking like, right, Dr. Bernard?
So I remember when I first left the Cayman Islands, I was 17 years old. I'm now 35. I've just come back last year. So it is a very long road, but it's a very rewarding path. Mm-hmm. And once you have seen it all and are trained to handle it all, and you come back and you can see someone that is a part of your community that raised you, mm-hmm. that takes it to another level. Mm-hmm. And it is so great to be able to help people here at my home, because I've been all over the world, and there's no place like home.
There's no place like home, man. Not even in Kansas. Dr. Power, what about you? But share, introduce as you wish.
Well, around the same. I did leave around 17 as well. I'm not sure if our trips were similar. Started the degree, life happens, had 2 kids, came back home, had my support system at home saying, you got to go back, you can't just settle, go back. So without that support system at home, parents, mother, I wouldn't have decided to, let me go and finish what I started.
And thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes we don't, as you said, life happens. You start off on something. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to get there. It may not be that normal, accepted path of, A to B to C. Sometimes you pause, you go sideways, you come back. But as long as you have that support, encouraging, nurturing system, and that's what this community is about.
That's true.
You guys being here, I'm celebrating, not because you're my children or my siblings, but you're my community. And this makes me feel so wonderful. And we need to do more of that. We need to look and see, recognize that the people before us are us. Just so proud, huh?
That's true.
All right.
And for anyone out there that thinks after one failure you can't go back, if you're persistent.
Yeah. A failure to me is just something that says, try another way. Because even a success could be improved upon.
True.
It's just mindset. But we need to have that. Not just instill and inculcate it, but encouraged and nurtured in us. But sometimes you can't make it. Can I ask? Well, go ahead, Dr. Warren.
So I love that you said that. And I remember before I left, I was always told, you're from Cayman. It's a small place. You're maybe not going to be able to do the things that people from these large countries can do. And after going to these large countries and studying alongside their scholars and realizing we're reading the same book.
Yep.
You can do it. I want to encourage any Caymanian that wants to go into the medical field. If I can do it, they can do it.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that, because I think we tell ourselves that. We tell the people closest, but we love others to say that. And some not in any way other than to be malicious and maligning and to be deliberately discouraging. And I say that deliberately now because I want us to stop to look at it, how important our words are. And to that child, even to that young adult, that thing that you say will be cutting. Is it going to be helpful? You have to decide, right, Dr. Poirier?
That's true. Like I tell my son, he wants to be a football star and whatnot. I'm like, great, go ahead, do it. What's your backup?
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? If that fails, what do you have to fall back on?
Or what are you going to do when you decide, that game that you would love to play, but, you're 35, you're 40, you're 50 now. You got guys who are 15, 20, 25 who don't have your skill and experience, but they're faster, stronger. They play in a different sport. What are you going to do then? At 50, you're still young, You're just ready to take the next chapter.
That's true.
You'll get there soon, I tell you. Did you always want to be a doctor? Did you know that you're going to be a physician? Dr. Poirier, you first.
Well, I varied. I wanted banking at first when I was a small little kid. Then I evolved and said, I like animals. I want to be a vet. And then through work experience in high school, they put you through that. I tried going into dental technician. I got to work at the clinic at HSA. And I worked with the guys there, and I'm like, oh, great. I like this. I like the artsy stuff. But then my support system at home, my mother, she's like, why a technician? Go for the route. Be a doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about and try it out. And it took a while, but I love it.
Awesome. That's it. What about you?
So, like all young men growing up here in Cayman, we used to have these air shows. And I think every guy my age wanted to be a pilot. And
the prestige.
And Top Gun didn't happen.
Top Gun did not happen. But my mother actually encouraged me to go and seek some job experience. It was a summer break. She said, well, you like video games. Why don't you go see if you can get a summer job? You can buy some video games. My mom's a very brilliant woman. So I went and I spoke with Dr. Tomlinson. I was 14 years old. So I showed up at his office and said, well, Dr. T, you have this new hospital and I'm on summer break. Do you have anything I can help out with? And he said, yeah, sure, son. I ended up working in maintenance. So I sprayed ants' nests outside Dr. T's hospital for an entire summer, and he saw something in me. And every summer after that, I'd come back and get some more experience. He took me on his wing. He actually gave me classes. He taught physics. So I'm heavily indebted to Dr. T.
Yeah. And thank you for that, because I think, again, as I look at the both of you, I'm not old, okay? Just experience. I have wisdom. That's my prayer anyway. It is so important that we, even if we are your classmates, but especially if we are your parents, friends or a little bit older, that we nurture, that we serve as mentors, officially and unofficially. Dr. Tomlinson, I think, is a great man who can be very instructive, very insightful. And we need to do that nurturing, that mentoring, and recognize and encourage sometimes what the individual may not see in him or herself, but may see, but because of being young, you're impetuous, or being young, you may be a bit, a little bit too docile. But not the Dr. Purvis of the world. Right?
No.
There you go. See, you wanted to be a doctor. You probably wanted to be as well. Me, I wanted to be a box of chocolate. Right? Just full of flavor in life. Hey, an occasion for every day, right?
True.
But we are what we are. So when we come back from the break, can I ask about some of the things of your jobs? I want you to share as much as you wish. I'll do my very best to be respectful. I won't ask anything that is improper. But if I do, just let me know. What I want to achieve is to celebrate you, but also to encourage us. This is the summer. I think this week, school is back in for some. Our students at UCCI are probably getting, their classes under the belt for which ones they're going to take. One or two schools are probably going to start come Thursday. But this is September, and September is that transitional phase. It's the most, in my mind, the most significant time of the year in a child's life. I'll tell you why at some point. Why I think that's why the public holidays should be in September. I'll always champion out when I become governor. It will happen. It will happen. All right, we're going to pause and take that break, and when we come back, more Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from September 1st till September the 8th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointments today. That is 946-9020.
Back to school. Education is knowing the best back-to-school specials are at Reflections. Step into savings with up to 50% off selected footwear brands. Buy one pair and get the second pair of back-to-school shoes at 25% off. Save 50% off on all U.S. Polo handbags and backpacks. Ladies, don't miss the amazing daily deals in the clearance section on special selected women's fashions. Keep it classic with Levi jeans in a wide variety of styles and sizes from 28 to 48. And for the freshest gear, check out the new stock of Nike, Puma, Adidas, Johnny Cotton, and more. The best back-to-school savings are at Reflections. Find them on Shedden Road beside the Mango Tree. Open daily from 9 a.m. till after dark.
Do you want to make an impact on the next generation of leaders? The Chamber is inviting business professionals from all industries to sign up for the Mentoring Cayman program. This 6-month program facilitates career development in high-achieving students. Mentoring Cayman creates meaningful professional relationships while building a diverse and stronger workforce. Sign up today to make a difference in the leaders of tomorrow. Registrations for Mentoring Cayman closes September 9th. Visit caymanchamber.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman, your #1 community station, would like to remind you that we are in the hurricane season, and in order to survive a hurricane, you need to be prepared. If official sources say a hurricane is imminent, please board up or shutter up windows in your home or place of business. Remember to use good lumber, as makeshift boarding may actually cause more damage. Also put strong bracing on outside doors so that they are not blown off or blown in.
This hurricane advice was brought to you by Radio Cayman, your caring community radio station.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks too for this opportunity for this continued partnership with the Health Services Authority, Dr. Tommy Purwood, together with Dr. Brandon Bernard. As physicians, I think some of us, and this is probably why we watch so much TV, we have this glamour of what the physician's life is like. What is it like really? I mean, I know a little bit. You know, imagine, as a physician, you probably work maybe 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. You do a meeting, then you go for a long lunch, then golf in the afternoon, and then some person calls with a huge check to endorse you. I mean, that's the life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's long hours. Me, take for example, I've been up all night. I started work at 8 o'clock last night until 6 a.m. this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, it was a nice shift. But some days you experience tragedy firsthand.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some fatalities recently, and that is always the hardest part of my job in particular, because sometimes there's nothing you can do. If someone doesn't survive long enough to make it to the hospital, what do you tell the family? You tried everything you could. No, like there was nothing that could be done, and that weighs on your heart.
Yeah. And this is what I'm hoping. Thank you for sharing that. I'm hoping that our people will recognize that you're human, and that sometimes when we come in as a patient, sometimes you just had something occur, or whatever that is, right? It could be the report, it could have been the record that something happened previously. You need a minute sometimes to be able to, but you got to pivot and come back to us as a patient, or otherwise. But even as the community, as your family and friends, sometimes you just need a little extra support.
Yeah.
Let's be understanding, huh?
That's true.
We'd appreciate that.
I don't have that. Thankfully, I think that's why I chose the field I chose.
Okay.
Not the long hours. I mean, going into the different medical fields, you have to be passionate about what you do.
Right.
You chose it because you knew what to expect and what it entailed. Same way I chose what I chose. I knew I was not cut out to go the long nights, stay away from my family or whatnot. I'm a little bit more comfortable with my 8 to 4 or 8 to 5, and the other odd Saturday and whatnot, and whichever call out. I'm good with that. But it is stressful. You do get the odd patient or family members that want something done that you are trying. It's not fully in your hands to handle medical issues, or if it's in my case, they are waiting or been waiting to be seen, but the previous patient, you had to give them the allocated time because something went wrong. Well, you thought it was going to go straight forward, but it didn't.
Yeah, they needed some extra attention.
Right. Yeah. So it's that allocation, you trying to jiggle with trying to please that one, please the other one, and you keeping it together.
I think this is where we probably as patients, as customers, even simple thing, and I don't, and I didn't, but I ended up there, wanted to be into banking. But if you're, the next customer, and the customer in line, whether it's a customer service, whether it's at the teller, is getting through and maybe taking a bit of time. Think of it this way: would you not want to seem attention and time to make sure that the person assisting you is as attentive as possible to give you what is it, so you have that clarity? If you'd want that, be understanding. Now, you, the service deliverer, the physician, either in consult or in ER or wherever, well, don't banter just because you want a break, or don't banter because it's your friend. Be cordial and professional, but also be cognizant, as you say, Dr. Purry, that, well, I got to get to the others as well. You don't want to rush them through so that you're just running numbers, but then you don't want them to dilly-dally.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a balancing act, huh?
Yeah.
It is, and the public deserves the highest standard of care, and sometimes that doesn't take 15 minutes. Sometimes that takes a little longer, especially in the emergency room.
Right. Sure.
Because the person that I'm seeing, they don't necessarily know what was going on with the patient I saw immediately before them. And I think the public just needs to understand that, yes, they are important, and yes, we're going to give them the best care possible, but we really appreciate their patience sometimes, and we understand that it's frustrating to be waiting, and especially in the emergency room, if you don't necessarily know what's wrong and you're waiting to see someone that's going to have all the answers, that process takes some time.
It's not strange, we're patients, but we're not patients. She hear all the time. But in that, though, it is about understanding. Now, Dr. Purry, I was just trying to think, and I won't come up with a number, but the amount of Caymanian dentists, but even the amount of dentists in Cayman, there are not that many.
No, you are right. We are very few. I hope it grows. I know recently we have around 3 or 4 that have come back.
Yeah.
So that's good in comparison to years before.
And that shows that we are still a pioneer society almost to some extent. Yes, it's still a society that is growing, and it's easier for an established person, almost in any field, to come to Cayman and be the only person, or be one of a relatively small number, even if that person isn't as that good where they come from, or is unemployed despite being a master carpenter or a physician or an accountant. They come to Cayman, we could use the services because we don't have enough.
Yeah.
We got to raise the bar and make sure that we
That is very true.
Exactly. Take my field, for example. As far as I know, in the history of the Cayman Islands, I'm one of 2 people that have gotten the qualification that I have as a consultant emergency physician. It takes a long time. People don't want to go that long road.
Yeah. At some point I want to ask, well, you know what, I will, because, and I will promise you this, I stand behind what I say, I mean what I say what I mean, and I believe in advocating for and protecting people. And if ever I misstep or overstep or inadvertently do something and it's wrong, I won't apologize for it. But we need to stand with our people and for our people, especially our young people, from the student who wants to be.
I agree with that fully. As Doc was saying, because it takes so long, I think that's a little bit of a deterrent for our young kids, because they want to be out, start making the money, start buying the car, start buying the house, being able to go away to different trips and the parties and whatnot. But to be able to be in one of these fields, you have to, first off, have your support system. Second off, study. It requires a lot of study, and I know that's difficult. When we were in school, personally, when I was in school, I wasn't the most smart or brilliant A student, but I had my support system. I had someone behind me telling me, you need to do better than this, right? And that helped me to get along, even when I stopped, took my break for however long, and went back. These things, these different medical field careers do take time to do.
But it also shows too, Dr. Purry, that many of us at times, we find an issue later on. We blossom a little bit later than others. Some are full blown before they know it. Next thing they expired. But you take time. It's consistency, a concerted effort. But like the football player, for instance, you want to be good, you got to practice. You can't be out Friday night, either staying up playing dominoes or whatever you're doing, and expect Saturday morning to go to the game.
Perform,
I mean, you may be good, but you not do that consistently. So anything takes that commitment. that sacrifice, that determination, right, Dr. Bernard?
Yeah, and it, as Dr. Power was saying, you need to have those persons in your life that are going to support you and encourage you to move forward. It takes a community, right? For me, it was my family, a lot of teachers. I've been very fortunate to...
Your mentor.
Yes,
Yes,
and mentors, because I was able to identify people in my life that were able to guide me along the path, like Dr. T, Dr. Ebanks.
I wrote down, and as I was thinking about today's show, for me, and if I say this and this makes you feel like, wow, stop complimenting this, let me know. I'm not trying to embarrass, but I'm so proud, and I understand the parents and the supporting family members, the mentors. So I wrote down a couple of things. One word was mentors. Who were the mentors? When would you be willing to talk about them? And for us as mentors to understand how important that is, not just in an unofficial capacity, but in an official one, to draw alongside the person and check in on them. It could be unofficial, where fellows in school somewhere, male or female. Fellows okay, right? I say fellow, but
it's fine.
Mr. Loxley said, it's not vault, vault, right? But we draw alongside that person. We message them. We call them up every and again. Maybe we send them a couple of bucks and say, hey, next time you got a little break or your birthday is coming up, go buy a piece of chocolate or something. Do something.
Yeah, you should always show your appreciation to those people that helped you to get where you are.
Yeah. But those people who are helping you need to make sure that we are there, because we see what the road is like. Right?
Yeah, and then
that's true.
Once you reach a certain point, then it's your turn to help others. And I hope to be in that situation to
that's it.
Hopefully inspire another young Cayman into
that's true.
That's it.
Choose a career.
Yeah, a rising tide floats all ships. So after the break, could I ask, if you wish, tell us about the education. What being a doctor entails. What do we have to study now? Okay, we talk about STEM courses and take the physics and the biology and the chemistry and all those things. But tell us more about it, if you would. And then, Dr. Bernard, from your perspective, if you're okay, I know the humility amongst to you is so evident, but shine a little bit and share as much as you can. Hey, these are the courses. This is the time frame. This is it. You're so modest to say, one of two with the... No, that's significant. We got a 2-bit fellow who comes there probably in court tomorrow because he has a big smile and we celebrate him, right? Back home, he probably couldn't find anywhere he's lost. But we put him on a statue, literally sometimes. What about our own people? We need to showcase them, all right? So would that be okay to ask of you as well,
sure.
Dr. Perry? All right, I'm going to pause and take that break. And when we come back, I'm going to hear more and more parents talking about my son and daughter going to be a doctor too. Just take Dr. Bernard and Dr. Perry. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Police confirm they're working with the operators of Parker's Raceway to investigate circumstances surrounding the crash that killed Cashwayne McKenzie this weekend. They say a file will be submitted to the coroner. In response to Radio Cayman's questions regarding safety protocols, police say the operators of the racetrack will be dealing with any safety issues arising in conjunction with the safety authority. In international headlines, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard seizes an American sea drone in the Persian Gulf and tries to tow it away, only releasing the unmanned vessel when a U.S. Navy warship and helicopter approach. That according to officials today, who say the incident marks the first time the Navy's Mideast Fifth Fleet's new drone task force has been targeted by Iran. While the interception ended without incident, tensions remain high between Washington and Tehran as negotiations over the Islamic Republic's tattered nuclear deal with world powers hangs in the balance. European Union nations were divided today over whether to slap a broad visa ban on Russian citizens, torn between a desire to ramp up pressure on President Vladimir Putin and concern about punishing people who may not support his war on Ukraine. The 27-nation EU already tightened visa restrictions on Russian officials and business people in May, but calls have mounted from notably Poland and the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania for a broader ban on tourists. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if you want to be a part of our conversation and either share the congratulations or just ask a question because you yourself might be considering a course of study in the medical field, you may have a young charge, a student or otherwise that you want to encourage, well, this is a good opportunity to hear first. I'm very grateful to not just the HSA, but for two of our physicians here, Dr. Purr and Dr. Bernard, for taking time out. Dr. Bernard, you shared, like many of your colleagues, we've been up all night, not just because it's a good political game to play with your friends, over dominoes or what have you, but you're working and you're here. That just shows it. Dr. Purver, likewise, it may not be that call out service constant, but you at work always as medical personnel. I was asking during the break or just before the break, what is it like to be, a physician and from school? I mean, I say that, high school and like, what subjects should be taken, or does that matter when you get into medical school or otherwise? Give me a path.
So for me, I went to Catholic for primary school and switched to Triple C for high school, and then went off to university. Decided I didn't want to go to Florida and see a bunch of people that I recognized. I went up to New York. I was at Ithaca College. And I did a bachelor's degree in biochemistry with minors in Spanish language and literature and finance. Just 'cause I'm from Cayman, I should know about finance, right?
I speak Spanish too.
After that, I got into medical school. So 4 years for the bachelor's, 4 years in medical school. So part of that, I was able to go to New York for clinical clerkships as well as to the UK. After that, I did an MBA. So I have a master's in business administration with concentration in multi-sector healthcare management. I did internship here in the Cayman Islands. I'm the first doctor to graduate through that internship program at HSA. After the internship program, I went to Jamaica, did senior house officership, which was part of the time working in anesthesia and in intensive care, and then emergency medicine. I liked emergency medicine more. Came back for 2 years, worked at HSA, and then I went off to do my residency. So 4 years for residency. Yeah, add all of that up, that's a decade and a half gone.
I lost track of it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff. I'm collecting all these degrees, but medical training is somewhat of a mystery to most people. They understand that, it's a long time, but what are you doing for these 15 years? So you need to have a bachelor's degree. If you're going to be in the U.S., that is not a medical degree. That's whatever you feel like you want to study. And then you need to take specific courses to sit the MCAT, which is your entrance exam to medical school. and then 4 years of medical school, and then on to residency. In the UK system, your bachelor's degree is medical. So as you come out of high school or A-levels, you start medical school right away. But it evens out. You know, the training is long either way you go.
Right. Mine was a little different than that.
Okay.
Same, went to Catholic primary in high school. I didn't do my A-levels, so I just basically went straight into university. So I went to Panama to start my degree. In different colleges, mainly the U.S. and, well, not so much the UK, but the U.S., you need a bachelor's degree to get into medical school. Since we do, in the UK system, something along the lines of up to A-levels or year 12, you got all those sciences in there. You got your biology, your physics, your chemistry, which are basically the bachelors of science per se to get into a university in, say, Latin America or whatever. Same goes for Jamaica. So I got into dental school when we went to Panama. Life happened, came back. I did my dental assistant course online with my background already from what I had done previously before. So I already knew what I was getting myself into. Then I applied after years of working here at the HSA as a dental assistant. I applied to Jamaica directly, to the University of Technology in Jamaica, and I got into their dental course. Now, I applied at UWI as well, but I liked UTech or the university better. So you just go in as long as you have your sciences. Then once you're there, the course is, or was at the time, because things have changed over time, it was a 5-year course. So you basically do your first 3 years of theory, and on the 3rd year, then you start doing your clinicals.
Both of you sound like, oh, well, you know, I did that, you know. And if you follow the years, you know, thankfully...
And then COVID happened. So that put a big stop.
That's still happening. But you reference, you know, 17 years later. And is it then that as a student, we should be thinking about this from high school? Or is it okay if you're, you know, in your 20s or 30s and you say, you know what, I wouldn't mind getting into the medical field? What's your personal...
You can, actually. I had a lecture, I don't know, but I had a lecture in dental school when I was in Panama. He was an oral maxillofacial surgeon already, and he had gone back to school to be a doctor. Unfortunately, he died, God rest his soul, but he was studying to be a doctor, and he was already an oral maxillofacial surgeon, which takes 10 years. So you do your dentistry, and then you do 5 more years to be the specialty of oral max surgeon. He was in, I don't know, his late 40s, I would say. Back
it's
then.
never too late, right?
No.
Pursue the passion.
Not at all.
Yeah, I agree. You need to pursue your passion. Now, some people discover their passion later on in life, and I don't think you should ever look at, well, your age and say, well, I'm too old to learn a new trick. If that is what you have an aptitude for, that is what you enjoy, that is your passion, pursue it. Now, if you're young like me, when I found my passion, pursue it.
Yeah. What I was going to ask, you know, where do you see? But I'll leave that for now. As you specialize, Dr. Barnard, to you first. You know, you have the academic with a question. You have the technical and the practical expertise now, and you still, you know, is it the ER where you want to shine, or? I mean, we don't have the. But increasingly, we have the volume, sadly. That's the stuff that we've seen coming through our shores recently.
So I enjoy my job. I've been able to travel to a lot of different places during my education, and I've learned a lot of new skills. And I've been able to bring some of those skills back home now. And it's very gratifying when you're looking at your superiors that have been doing this for so long, and you come as a new guy and you're showing them things, you know, that's
you know, that's good. I'm hoping that us who are more seasoned and established, that we still have the mindset that we can learn. And sometimes, you know, because of our age, we may look at a younger person. Just the scriptures, you know, say, don't let them despise you because of your youth. We need to remember as the older person, hey, you know, you ever see a child teach his parents something, not just the new gadget that they just bought, have no clue how to take it out of the package, but just to learn something from someone younger would be helpful. I mean, learning is key.
And you need to always be learning, regardless of what field you're in. If you want to be at the top of your game, you need to always be getting better. If you're not actively learning and getting better, guess what? You're stagnating.
Yeah, doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
What about your jobs? Anything in particular that you find from the perspective that has been most surprising? I'd ask about the challenging, the rewarding later, but you embark on this path, and as you sort of go on a journey, any particular surprises that jumped out that, I didn't know that, they didn't tell me about that. Anything strikes you? Yeah, it's a different question.
After training for so long, I like to say that I'm not surprised by anything, because you've seen most things before, but there's always that challenge, that patient that comes with this new symptoms that, they've been to doctors so many times before. And if you sit down and you listen to your patient, I happen to be so fortunate. My patients come in, they actually tell me what's wrong with them. A lot of doctors don't know that. Yeah. But if you listen to your patient and find out what they're experiencing, and then you combine that with your knowledge, you actually find out what's going on. And I've had people diagnosed with stuff that they had no idea, and they're so appreciative. They come with pineapple upside down cake and all these things. It will warn you.
They like you better.
Yeah, just remember to share.
Not many people like dentists.
I do. Nice.
I love the dentist. I've always loved the dentist.
Well, that's a first. I have patients that come in and tell me, I don't like you. It's not personal. I just don't like you.
No, it's personal.
I'm like, okay, that's okay.
It's personal.
I think it's personal. No, but you know what? Again, it's us as the adults. What are we seeing? It was once I heard an educator say something to a group of grade 3 students, or primary 3, whatever they call it. Oh, math is hard. Math is not for girls. That still sticks with me. I had to do everything not to say anything. That was the hardest thing in my life, too.
Oh, man.
Because just in that comment that was I think to be sort of, funny or whatever, I watched the children's faces, and it all of them went from being excited to being petrified, because your teacher just said something. True. That teaches God, right, to those children.
Yeah, they condition them to be afraid of math and science for the rest of their life just because of their gender, which is so unfair.
Which is weird, man. I mean, you talk about the new surprising things. I remember a friend who's a physician said, one time a patient came in, the first time he actually saw someone suffering from rectal cranial inversion. So it's really something to think about. Let's pause it, take that break. When we come back, more talk today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
See beneath the surface. The return of the Alex Panton Foundation Gala. This remarkable maritime-themed experience awaits you. Saturday, September 10th. Cocktails begin at 6. See beneath the surface. The Alex Panton Foundation Gala Event 2022, Grand Cayman Marriott Beach Resort. A formal occasion developed, sponsored, and supported by Rotary Central Cayman Islands. The Alex Panton Foundation Dinner and Fellowship. Fundraising laser-focused on education, intervention, for children and young people around mental health resolution, suicide prevention. Get your tickets, get your corporate tables. Email ally.speirs@outlook.com. That's ALLY.SPEIRS@outlook.com. rotary.com or eventpro.ky. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Breitling watches are defined by quality, innovation, and style, and you have the chance to win one in August during Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary sweepstakes. Each month, lucky shoppers have the chance to win a piece of jewelry or a watch from luxury brands. Every purchase of $100 at any Kirk Freeport store gains you entry into the monthly drawing, so stop in today. Next up, September's prize is the Chopard Happy Dreams bracelet. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back, and I'm really always excited about these Tuesdays when your colleagues at the HSA from all the different departments and sections come on and we get a chance. For me, it's never intended to be anything other than the most respectful and appreciative approach.
We appreciate you having us.
No, man, it's an honor, and I say this seriously. The pillars in every society, but especially this one: strong healthcare sector and equally strong education system. Because without a healthy educated populace, the diamonds, the money, the gold, the oil, whatever the resource may be, it's of no value to people. Can access it, can enjoy it. So thank you, and I'm hoping that in the 12-13 minutes of our discussion, Ramina, we could ask also, different words of wisdom, instruction, guidance, counsel that you could give to parents to extend to their children, but to students to think about careers in the medical field. But before I do that, let me then ask, as you go through, preparing and being a physician, we have this view that, the long hours and the long years of study, those are disincentives, and they're all the things that go on, so they discourage people. But then we also have this view, he's a doctor, and that is elevated in a way. But what is the reality?
I tell you, none of my colleagues live in Crystal Harbor, I'll tell you that. The medical field is very rewarding. A lot of people spend a lot of time talking about how long the training is, and yes, that's true. But what I would tell to young Caymanians is try and discover what your passion is. Just as a general rule, just be curious about everything you encounter. Be curious about life. Study things because you're interested. And with that knowledge base that you'll accumulate, you can decide what things you like to do and which things you don't like to do. For me, I liked problem solving. I liked helping people. I liked science. So I put that together to become a physician. And then along that journey, discovered, I like emergency medicine because you get to figure out what's wrong. You get to use physiology and cutting edge medical science to help someone who's having the worst day of their life usually. If you have to come to see me, that's not a good day, right? But that's so rewarding because people realize that you do go the extra mile, and because they appreciate that then that energy transfers to you, and it's such a pleasant experience the majority of the time because you're able to help them and they're appreciative at the end of the day.
Indeed.
So for me, it's more artistic. That's why I got into this field as well. Dentistry is not just the pulling out teeth, the filling in. It's the artistic part of it when you fix someone's teeth, say, for example, their front teeth. They may be cracked, they may be broken, they may have some cavities. But then when you fix them up, put a crown or just put a filling over it, or even give them a denture because they don't have any teeth, you see that person give you a smile. They'll actually smile when before they would just cover their face or lower, not smile, just kind of thing. It's a complete different change.
That transforms their self-confidence.
That does. It boosts. It's a big boost in that sense.
I'm glad you share that too, because you think back to some of us that are a little bit older than you, and we get braces or we get something done that for some is cosmetic, but as Dr. Barnes just shared, it's transformative because now their self-esteem, that thing that they were so conscious of.
True.
We smile and we hide our face, or we know that tooth, for instance, is just a little bit too crooked. We didn't have the money, or we didn't think the importance, but now we are at a stage. So I'm glad, Dr. Purver, you're available. They can come in and get that fixed.
They can.
Get their lives back and enjoy.
True.
So little things that we would ignore. Let's not ignore them more. We have the resources.
Yes,
right?
we do.
All right. With that then, to that parent, right, and to that child that's looking at studying, because I think too many times, as you've referenced, we look down the road and we see the reward and we work towards it, but sometimes we see the effort and we say, let me do something easy and be a talk show host.
I don't think that's easy.
I don't know. That's good. Thanks. No, but with that then, as we think about where we want to be and with the services that you provide, how does that help, Dr. Barrett, from perspective? An ER in a big large sort of metropolitan area, they have all these resources, and I think we use the TV as an example. They come in and they have everything possible. Reality is, sometimes they're out, and especially these days when, what do you mean you don't have,
we actually have a gem of a hospital here at the HSA. Yes. I've been all over the world, and I've seen hospitals in the US, the UK, in Jamaica, in Grenada. There's something very special about what we have here, and we should really cherish this.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are always trying to go off to get healthcare elsewhere. Everybody wants to go to Miami. Everybody wants to go to other places. But there's something very special about what we have here. Mm-hmm. And the doctors here are excellent. I've met doctors all over the place, and the doctors here are some of the best I've met. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we should really appreciate as a gem. We should take advantage of that.
Thank you, Srinaka. I think too many times we who live here sometimes don't appreciate what we have. We don't appreciate our family, our spouses. We don't see the sacrifice of our parents, or we don't see how much our children are really, really exerting themselves. You don't appreciate what's before you. Well, say you don't miss the rain until the drought, right? Yeah. So by you saying that, hopefully the wider country would understand the investment in the sector, and hopefully where we can, we'll improve it. It's not just technology, but it's also the personnel.
Yeah, the doctors here are well trained. Mm-hmm. My colleagues have postgraduate degrees, and even after their postgraduate degrees have gone on and studied other things. Mm-hmm. Some of these other places that you go to, the person that you're seeing as a quote-unquote specialist, they got that qualification 3 years after medical school. 3 years after medical school for me, I hadn't even started my residency yet. I was doing internship and senior house officership, and I was just starting my specialization. Mm-hmm. So all of those opportunities and all of those patients that I've seen leading up to that point helped me to have a knowledge base that's a little bit more than other places.
If I might ask, though, and only because increasingly I understand that things are relative, and there's a level of, I'm inspired by Mr. Loxley's cultural sensitivity. When you understand the audience, so the speaker, as an example, talking to a particular audience, can connect with the audience, use the language, the tone, and make it resonate. The message is not only more effectively conveyed, but it's comprehended, right? So with you as physicians, speaking the language, understanding the parlance, the dialectical colloquialisms, it makes that communication that much easier. And hopefully we will respect that, right, Dr. Purver?
True. Yeah. Very true.
All right. And as we went up our discussion, how do we then get to a space where twofold? One, the wider public, and expecting to solve this today, if you can, you get a gold medal. For us to do what you just said, see the gem that we have within our health services, not just within the sort of like the public sector, but even the private physicians, the Dr. Ebankses, the Dr. Tomlinsons that you referenced. They're incredibly skilled and resource. They're invaluable to our society.
Yeah, they are.
We don't need to fly off elsewhere.
No.
We got it right down the road.
That's very true.
And that's a blessing, because some people aren't as fortunate as we are.
Yeah. I mean, we take that for granted, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to understand that, right, Dr. Purver? How did we get there?
I really don't know how to try and not educate, but try and get people to understand that we have the resources here
Mm-hmm.
to do many of the things and maybe even better
Mm-hmm.
than other places.
I think everybody understands that is here except us.
Yeah.
For some strange reason. And I liken it to, unlike me, I can promise you there's no mama that can cook better than mine. But unlike mine, there are many people, their mothers to me are great cooks, but the child would prefer to eat somebody else's, white rice, for instance, as simple as that is, than what their mama made. Is it a human condition?
Maybe it is.
Well, for me, if it's homegrown and got a little bit of a chocolate flavor, it's good.
The grass is greener on the other side always, till you get to the other side.
It might be overseptic.
So some people might say it's if the grass is greener on the other side, maybe it's time for you to water your own lawn.
Oh, well, that's true too.
Yeah. If this was a different discussion, I would get into that. but you're right. And maybe that's what we need to do. And that's what I'm hoping through our discussion, that we start to invest. We talk about nation building, but we also need to appreciate the cathedral builders. The Dr. Tomlinsons and Dr. Bankses, for instance, who have gone before, who've mentored, who've served, who are the examples. But then there are other people who are not necessarily physicians, but there are others who have been inspiring.
That's true. I've had one significant person like that was not on the medical field, but he's all for mentoring us. He mentored as well another medical student as well. We probably know him, Mr. James Watler. Excellent person. Yeah. My mentor from always. And he's like, Miss Tammy, are you done? Miss Tammy. Or I would call him or text him, this is going on in school. They're telling me I'm not supposed. He's like, no, let me write a letter right away. Or I would draft something. I'm like, Mr. Watler, can you please read over this and make sure that I didn't make any mistake or I sound proper so that I can express myself? Oh, yes, no problem. Read. Yeah. Send back.
And that's what we need, Joe. It's not coddling. It's encouraging. It's supporting. We all need that. No matter whether you're 12, 21, or 102 sometimes. Having that partnership. Dr. Bernard? Yeah, man. It's good. Well, I hope you get some rest this afternoon. Are you on a shift tonight again?
I'll be there serving the public tonight.
All right.
I have to get back to serving the public.
Yeah, I was thinking you still got a couple of hours left here of the day.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, we'll have our team outside ferry you across. Please remember to tip the server. No, I'm honored and I'm very grateful and I'm hopeful that parents in particular, our educators do it, but our parents will draw alongside and make sure that we support them. Closing thoughts, Dr. Barnard, if you want to share.
So I would like to encourage any young person that's hearing me right now to know that they're talented, that they are capable, to not feel that they are less than someone who's from somewhere else, to know that they are able to study and able to advance and become successful just as anyone else can, and to never have a limited mindset because you are from Cayman means that you're any less than anyone else.
Yeah, that's it, man. Take that as pride.
It's true.
Dr. Perry?
Well, diligence and your support system. If you don't have a support system at home, find someone else. Find a mentor, find a friend. Someone on the street sometimes can be that person that gives you that ray of hope that I can do this. Do your research into what you want, find out before you jump into something. And if you think you can do it, it may not be as easy, but just keep trying at it.
You can achieve, and sometimes just because one subject in one class seems difficult, it could just be your timing. It could be the way the lecturer, high school teacher, the primary school teachers present it. It could just be your mindset. It could be your age. You can get a little.
And there's always people in the community that can help. So if you're struggling with something, get help.
We have a lot of teachers that teach or retired teachers that still teach and can help out.
Well, that's a resource that I think we don't appreciate exists there. Perhaps it's being, directed in some quarters more than others. But the more that we know, the more that we can grow. Well, you guys continue to excel in your careers.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Hey, this is a phenomenal place. I've seen that Dr. Barnard and Dr. Herrera share with us. We have a gem. We just need to nurture it, appreciate it, and ensure that it shines. All right. Enjoy the rest of the day. And to our listeners, enjoy Mr. Art in the morning for the record and come back for Talk Today right after the midday news. Honorable Andre Eubanks will be our guest. It's giving me a lot of work to read. Legislation is proposed. Maybe Susan will read it for me later. Well, until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Hello, moms and dads, boys and girls. It will be Saturday, September 10th. We will celebrate International Literacy Day at the Queen Elizabeth Botanical Park, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m.
So, moms and dads, bring your boys and girls aged 10 years and younger to hear stories come alive. Sing along with Miss Izzy, prizes and surprises, Eric the Magician, arts and crafts, and more.
This is a free children's event sponsored by Rotary Central at the Rotary Schoolhouse, Queen Elizabeth Botanical Park, Frankstown Road. Children must be accompanied by an adult.
Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Here is where tradition never dies.